What if the biggest signs of attraction were never spoken? What if the difference between chasing someone and being genuinely chosen came down to 6 subtle behaviors that most people completely miss? The truth is, real interest rarely hides behind complicated games. It reveals itself through consistency, attention, and emotional investment. Today, we're going to explore 6 powerful signs that often show when a woman genuinely wants to build a connection with you. And by the end, you may discover that attraction isn't about convincing someone to like you. It's about recognizing the signals that are already there. One of the greatest misunderstandings people have about attraction is believing that words are the strongest evidence of someone's feelings. In reality, words can be influenced by emotion, uncertainty, or even the desire to make a good impression. Time, however, is different. Time is the one resource that every person values equally. Once it is spent, it can never be recovered. That is why one of the clearest signs of genuine interest is not found in grand romantic gestures, but in a person's willingness to consistently invest their time in you. Think about the people who matter most in your life. You naturally make room for them, even when your schedule is full. You reply to their messages, remember to check in on them, and look for opportunities to spend meaningful moments together. This isn't because someone forces you to do it. It's because your priorities reveal what your heart values. Relationships grow wherever consistent attention is given. When someone genuinely wants to know you, conversations stop feeling like obligations and start becoming opportunities. They don't communicate only when they are bored or when they need something. Instead, they become curious about your day, your goals, your challenges, and even the little moments that most people overlook. They ask questions because they want to understand who you are beneath the surface. This is an important lesson that applies to every meaningful relationship. Genuine connection cannot be rushed, purchased, or manipulated. It grows through repeated moments of attention. Every conversation, every shared experience, and every sincere question becomes another brick in the foundation of trust. Attraction that lasts is rarely built on dramatic moments. More often, it is built through ordinary moments that happen consistently over time. Many people make the mistake of trying to impress others with status, achievements, or expensive gestures. While those things may create temporary excitement, they rarely build lasting emotional connection. What truly makes people feel valued is presence. Giving someone your undivided attention communicates something powerful. You matter enough for me to pause everything else. In today's world of constant notifications and endless distractions, genuine attention has become one of the rarest gifts a person can offer. At the same time, it's important to avoid confusing occasional attention with consistent investment. Everyone has busy days, changing priorities, and personal responsibilities. One missed call or delayed reply doesn't define a relationship. What matters is the overall pattern. Over weeks and months, does the person continue finding ways to stay connected? Do they remember important events in your life? Do they reach out because they genuinely enjoy talking to you? Consistency tells a far more meaningful story than isolated moments. Another powerful sign is when someone includes you in different parts of their life naturally. They might tell you about something exciting that happened during their day, ask for your opinion before making a decision, or invite you to share experiences that are important to them. These actions are subtle, yet they reveal a growing level of comfort and trust. They are saying, without saying it directly, I want you to be part of my world. There's another side to this lesson that many people overlook. While it's valuable to recognize genuine interest in others, it's equally important to become someone who values other people's time. Healthy relationships are built on mutual effort. They are never sustained by one person doing all the chasing while the other remains emotionally unavailable. Lasting connection grows when both people willingly invest energy, attention, and care into each other's lives. This also requires patience. In a world that celebrates instant results, meaningful relationships remind us that the best things develop gradually. Trust isn't created in one conversation. Respect isn't earned overnight. Emotional connection deepens through repeated acts of reliability, kindness, and presence. Small moments repeated consistently become powerful evidence of genuine care. Perhaps the most important realization is this: you should never have to convince someone to value your presence. The right connection doesn't require constant performance or endless pursuit. When someone genuinely appreciates who you are, they naturally make room for you in their life. They don't see spending time with you as a burden, but as something they genuinely look forward to. In the end, authentic attraction isn't measured by dramatic declarations or perfect words. It is revealed in everyday choices. It appears in the willingness to stay connected, to remain curious, to listen with intention, and to make time despite the demands of life. Because at the end of every day, our calendars quietly reveal our priorities. And when someone consistently chooses to invest their most valuable resource, their time, they are revealing something far more powerful than words ever could. At the heart of every meaningful relationship lies something far more valuable than attraction alone: trust. While physical attraction may create the initial spark, emotional safety is what allows that spark to grow into a lasting connection. One of the strongest signs that someone genuinely wants you in their life is their willingness to become emotionally open with you. This isn't about dramatic confessions or sharing every detail of their past overnight. Instead, it is the gradual process of lowering emotional walls and allowing another person to see the real individual behind the smile. Every person carries experiences that have shaped the way they view relationships. Some have learned to trust easily, while others have been disappointed, misunderstood, or hurt. Because of those experiences, emotional openness is rarely automatic. It develops when someone begins to feel safe in your presence. They realize they can express themselves without fear of being judged, criticized, or dismissed. Think about how rare genuine listening has become. Many conversations today are filled with interruptions, distractions, and the desire to respond rather than understand. But when someone feels that you truly listen, not simply to answer, but to understand, they begin to feel seen. Feeling understood is one of the deepest emotional needs every human being has. People naturally move closer to those who make them feel accepted. This is why meaningful conversations often become more personal over time. At first, people discuss simple topics: work, hobbies, favorite movies, or daily routines. As trust grows, those conversations begin to change. They start talking about childhood memories, personal dreams, fears, disappointments, and ambitions. These conversations aren't random. They are invitations into someone's inner world. Every personal story shared represents a small act of trust. Many people misunderstand vulnerability. They assume vulnerability is weakness. In reality, vulnerability requires enormous courage. It takes strength to admit uncertainty. It takes confidence to reveal imperfections. It takes emotional maturity to say, "This is who I really am." When someone chooses to reveal those parts of themselves, they are demonstrating a level of comfort that goes beyond casual interest. However, emotional openness should never be forced or rushed. Trust grows at its own pace. Trying to pressure someone into sharing personal details before they are ready often creates the opposite effect. Healthy relationships respect boundaries. They understand that every person has their own timeline for feeling comfortable. Patience communicates respect, and respect creates even greater emotional safety. This principle works both ways. If you want someone to trust you, you must also be willing to be authentic yourself. Authenticity invites authenticity. When you stop pretending to be perfect and become comfortable admitting your own challenges, you give the other person permission to do the same. Real relationships are not built between perfect people. They are built between honest people who choose understanding over judgment. Another important sign of emotional openness is consistency. Someone who genuinely values you doesn't only appear during exciting moments. They are also willing to share difficult moments. They may tell you about a stressful day, a disappointment at work, or something that has been weighing on their mind. This doesn't mean they expect you to solve every problem. Often, they simply trust you enough to let you know what they are experiencing. One of the greatest gifts you can offer another person is emotional safety. Emotional safety means creating an environment where someone feels respected, heard, and accepted. It means allowing disagreements without attacking someone's character. It means listening before assuming. It means responding with empathy instead of criticism. When people consistently experience this kind of environment, they naturally become more open over time. It's also important to recognize that emotional openness looks different for different people. Some individuals naturally express their feelings through words. Others communicate through actions, thoughtful gestures, or quiet consistency. Personality, upbringing, and life experiences all influence how people reveal their emotions. Instead of expecting everyone to communicate in the same way, Emotional intelligence allows us to appreciate these differences. Strong relationships are never built on mystery alone. While attraction may begin with curiosity, lasting connection grows through understanding. Every honest conversation removes another layer of uncertainty and replaces it with trust. Each moment of vulnerability strengthens the emotional foundation that supports the relationship during difficult seasons. Ultimately, the goal isn't simply to find someone who enjoys spending time with you. The deeper goal is to build a relationship where both people feel free to be themselves without wearing masks. When someone begins to reveal their true thoughts, share their genuine emotions, and trust you with parts of their life they don't share with everyone, it often reflects something far more meaningful than temporary attraction. It reflects the beginning of emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy is where the strongest relationships are formed. It transforms conversations into connection, interest into trust, and attraction into something much more enduring. Because in the end, people don't build lasting relationships with those who impress them the most. They build them with those who make them feel the safest to be completely honestly and unapologetically themselves. One of the most meaningful ways people express genuine interest is through attention. Not the loud, dramatic kind that demands recognition, but the quiet, consistent attention that notices the details most others overlook. When someone truly values you, they begin to pay attention to the little things that make you who you are. These small observations may seem insignificant on their own, but together they paint a powerful picture of genuine care and emotional investment. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are, you remember things about them because they matter to you. You remember their favorite meal, the stories they tell, the dreams they chase, or the challenges they have faced. This happens naturally because the human mind tends to hold on to information that carries emotional significance. The same principle applies in relationships. When someone consistently remembers the little details about your life, it often reflects that you occupy a meaningful place in their thoughts. This could be as simple as remembering how you take your coffee, asking about a meeting you mentioned last week, or checking in after an important event. None of these actions require grand effort. What they require is attention. And attention is one of the clearest expressions of value. People naturally focus on what they care about. In today's world, attention has become increasingly rare. Conversations are interrupted by notifications, social media competes for every spare moment, and many interactions remain superficial. Yet, despite all these distractions, when someone genuinely wants to connect with you, they find ways to be fully present. They listen carefully, ask thoughtful follow-up questions, and remember things that most people would quickly forget. Being remembered has a powerful emotional effect. It tells you that your words were heard and that your experiences mattered. Imagine mentioning an important goal during a casual conversation, only for someone to ask weeks later how your progress is going. That simple question communicates something profound. I was listening. I remembered. Your journey matters to me. This kind of attention creates trust because it demonstrates consistency. It shows that someone's interest isn't limited to exciting moments or surface-level conversations. Instead, they remain engaged in your life over time. They notice changes in your mood, recognize when something seems different, and often ask if everything is okay before you even mention it. These aren't magical abilities. They are the result of paying close attention. However, attention is about much more than memory. It also involves curiosity. Curious people don't assume they already know everything about someone. They continue asking questions because they understand that every person has layers waiting to be discovered. They want to understand your passions, your values, your perspective, and your experiences. They are interested not only in what you do, but also in why it matters to you. This is one of the reasons meaningful conversations feel so energizing. When someone is genuinely curious, you don't feel like you're being interviewed or judged. You feel understood. They listen without rushing to interrupt. They seek clarity instead of making assumptions. They encourage you to share more because they value your thoughts. At the same time, this lesson offers an important reminder for all of us. If we want stronger relationships, we must become better observers. Too often, people are focused on what they want to say next instead of fully listening. They hear words without understanding emotions. They notice appearances without recognizing feelings. Great relationships are built by people who learn to observe with empathy rather than simply react. Attention also reveals respect. When you remember someone's achievements, celebrate their progress, or acknowledge the challenges they have overcome, you communicate that their life has significance. Everyone wants to feel that they matter. Everyone wants to know that their presence leaves an impression. Genuine attention satisfies that deep human need. It's also important to recognize that small gestures often carry more weight than expensive gifts or dramatic displays of affection. A thoughtful message before an important interview, remembering an anniversary of a personal achievement, or asking about a family member after weeks have passed may seem ordinary, but these moments build extraordinary trust. They demonstrate consistency, reliability, and care. Qualities that sustain relationships long after excitement fades. Of course, no one remembers everything perfectly. We all forget details from time to time. What matters isn't flawless memory, but consistent effort. Pattern is what speaks the loudest. Does the person repeatedly show interest in your life? Do they notice the things that matter to you? Do they make an effort to understand you more deeply over time? These patterns reveal far more than occasional acts of kindness. Ultimately, relationships thrive not because of perfect words, but because of intentional attention. Every meaningful connection is strengthened by people who choose to notice rather than ignore, to listen rather than simply hear, and to remember rather than overlook. When someone consistently pays attention to the small details of your life, they are doing more than collecting information. They are communicating respect, appreciation, and genuine interest. And perhaps that is one of the most beautiful truths about human connection. The strongest relationships are rarely built on extraordinary moments alone. They are built on thousands of ordinary moments where two people quietly communicate through their actions. I see you, I hear you, and you matter. One of the clearest signs of a healthy and meaningful connection is this: the other person genuinely wants to see you become the best version of yourself. Real attraction isn't threatened by your growth. It isn't intimidated by your success. Instead, it celebrates your progress and encourages you to keep moving forward. When someone truly cares about you, they don't ask you to become smaller so they can feel bigger. They inspire you to become stronger, wiser, and more confident while standing beside you through the journey. This is an important distinction because many people confuse attention with support. Someone may compliment you, enjoy spending time with you, or appreciate your company, but genuine support goes much deeper. It shows itself when life becomes challenging. It appears when your goals demand sacrifice, when your dreams require discipline, and when success doesn't happen overnight. A person who truly believes in you doesn't disappear when the excitement fades. They remain consistent because they care about your future, not just your present. Think about the people who have had the greatest positive influence on your life. They probably weren't the ones who simply told you what you wanted to hear. Instead, they encouraged you to become who you were capable of becoming. They reminded you of your strengths when you doubted yourself. They challenged you to think differently. They celebrated your victories without making them about themselves. Those are the people who help transform potential into achievement. Healthy relationships create an environment where both people can grow together. Growth is rarely comfortable. It often requires learning new skills, facing fears, overcoming failure, and making difficult decisions. During those moments, encouragement becomes incredibly valuable. Sometimes all a person needs is someone who believes in them before they fully believe in themselves. That kind of support has the power to change lives. This doesn't mean agreement on every decision. In fact, genuine support sometimes includes honest conversations and respectful disagreement. Someone who truly cares about you won't encourage every idea simply to avoid conflict. Instead, they will offer thoughtful perspectives, ask important questions, and help you consider different possibilities. Their goal isn't to control your choices, but to help you make wiser ones. Honest guidance, delivered with respect, is often one of the highest forms of care. Another powerful sign of genuine support is the absence of unnecessary competition. In unhealthy relationships, one person's success becomes the other person's insecurity. Achievements create jealousy instead of celebration. Progress becomes something to compare rather than something to appreciate. Over time, this creates distance because neither person feels fully free to grow. Healthy relationships work differently. When one person succeeds, both celebrate. One person's achievement becomes shared joy rather than silent resentment. They understand that another person's success does not diminish their own value. Instead, they recognize that strong relationships thrive when both individuals continue developing into the people they were meant to become. Support also appears during failure. Everyone experiences disappointment. Careers don't always unfold according to plan. Goals take longer than expected. Mistakes happen. During these moments, the quality of a relationship becomes especially clear. Someone who genuinely values you doesn't define you by one setback. They remind you that failure is part of learning, not proof that you should give up. They offer encouragement without pretending that challenges don't exist. This kind of support creates resilience. Knowing that someone believes in you provides strength during difficult seasons. It doesn't remove obstacles, but it reminds you that you don't have to face them alone. Human beings are remarkably capable when they feel understood, respected, and encouraged. At the same time, this principle invites self-reflection. Ask yourself whether you are becoming this kind of person for others. Do you celebrate other people's victories sincerely? Do you encourage their ambitions, even when they surpass your own? Do you create an environment where people feel safe to dream bigger? Great relationships are built when both individuals become champions of each other's growth. It's also important to remember that support isn't measured only through words. Actions matter. Sometimes support means being present during difficult moments. Sometimes it means respecting someone's need to focus on an important goal. Sometimes it means offering practical help, listening without judgment, or simply believing in someone's ability to overcome a challenge. These quiet actions often speak louder than elaborate speeches. There is another reason why this kind of encouragement matters. Personal growth never truly ends. Every stage of life presents new opportunities to learn, adapt, and improve. Relationships that encourage growth remain strong because both people continue evolving instead of becoming trapped by old versions of themselves. They inspire each other to become kinder, wiser, more patient, and more resilient with every passing year. In the end, lasting attraction is not sustained by excitement alone. It is strengthened by mutual respect, shared encouragement, and a genuine desire to see one another flourish. When someone consistently supports your dreams, celebrates your progress, stands beside you during setbacks, and encourages you to become the person you are capable of becoming, they are offering something far more valuable than temporary admiration. They are helping build a relationship rooted in trust, purpose, and growth. And those are the kinds of relationships that continue to grow stronger long after first impressions have faded. One of the most meaningful shifts in any growing relationship happens when someone stops thinking only about today and naturally begins including you in tomorrow. This doesn't always happen through dramatic declarations or carefully planned conversations. More often, it appears in ordinary moments, in the way someone talks about upcoming events, future goals, or experiences they hope to share with you. When a person genuinely sees value in having you in their life, they often begin making space for you in the future they imagine for themselves. Human beings naturally plan around what matters most to them. We make time for our priorities, organize our schedules around important commitments, and think ahead about the people we hope will be part of our journey. This is why future-oriented thinking can be such a meaningful sign of genuine interest. It reflects more than temporary excitement. It suggests that the relationship has become significant enough to be considered part of what comes next. This doesn't mean someone needs to talk immediately about lifelong commitments or make promises they cannot keep. Healthy relationships develop gradually. Trust grows step by step, and meaningful plans become larger as the relationship becomes stronger. What matters is not the size of the plans, but the pattern they reveal. Perhaps they mention wanting to attend an event together next month. Maybe they talk about visiting a place they've always wanted to see and naturally include you in the conversation. Or they ask whether you'll be available for something several weeks from now. These moments may seem ordinary, yet they quietly communicate something important. I hope you're still part of my life when this happens. One of the most powerful aspects of this kind of thinking is that it reflects intentionality. Anyone can enjoy spending time together in the present. But when someone begins making decisions with your presence in mind, it often shows that they are thinking beyond immediate emotions. They are beginning to imagine shared experiences rather than isolated moments This also creates emotional security. Relationships thrive when both people feel that they matter beyond the present moment. Constant uncertainty can create anxiety and misunderstanding. But when someone consistently includes you in future conversations and plans, it sends a reassuring message that the connection is not simply temporary or convenient. It communicates stability, consistency, and genuine interest in continuing to build something meaningful. Another sign of this growing connection is when someone begins introducing you to the important people in their life. Family members, close friends, trusted mentors, and longtime companions often represent a person's inner circle. Choosing to include you in those relationships isn't simply about social interaction. It often reflects a growing level of trust and comfort. They want the people who matter to them to know someone who has become meaningful in their own life. Of course, every individual and every culture approaches this differently. Some people introduce friends and family very early, while others prefer to wait until a relationship has become more established. There is no universal timeline that fits every situation. What matters is not comparing one relationship to another, but observing the overall direction. Is the connection becoming more integrated into everyday life? Are you gradually becoming part of each other's routines, conversations, and future experiences? Those patterns often reveal far more than isolated actions. Another important element is shared vision. Strong relationships are built when two people discover that their values, priorities, and long-term goals can move in the same direction. They don't need identical dreams, but they do need compatible ones. Future conversations naturally reveal these similarities. People begin discussing careers, personal growth, travel, family, purpose, and the kind of life they hope to create. These conversations help determine whether both individuals are walking toward a future they can genuinely build together. It's equally important to understand that healthy future planning never involves pressure or manipulation. Genuine connection respects freedom. It allows both people to grow naturally without demanding commitments before trust has been established. Healthy relationships invite rather than force. They create opportunities for shared experiences without removing the other person's ability to choose. This principle also offers an important lesson for anyone seeking meaningful relationships. Instead of focusing entirely on whether someone includes you in their future, ask whether you are becoming someone capable of building a healthy future with another person. Are you developing qualities like honesty, responsibility, emotional maturity, and reliability? Lasting relationships aren't built simply by finding the right person. They are strengthened by becoming the kind of person who contributes positively to someone else's life. The future itself is always uncertain. None of us can predict every opportunity, challenge, or change that life will bring. Yet, despite that uncertainty, people continue making plans because hope is one of humanity's greatest strengths. When someone chooses to imagine tomorrow with you in it, they are expressing hope that the relationship will continue growing. Ultimately, genuine attraction isn't measured only by chemistry or exciting moments. It is revealed through consistency, trust, and a willingness to build something that extends beyond today. When someone naturally includes you in their future conversations, invites you into meaningful experiences, and begins making room for you in the life they are creating, they are often communicating something deeper than words alone. They are showing that your presence has become part of the story they hope to keep writing. And perhaps that is one of the clearest signs of all. Not that someone simply enjoys your company today, but that they sincerely hope you will still be walking beside them tomorrow. Perhaps the most powerful sign of genuine interest is also the simplest: consistency. Anyone can say the right words in the right moment. Anyone can make promises when emotions are high. But words alone do not build trust. Trust is built when actions repeatedly match what is spoken. Over time, consistency becomes the foundation of every healthy relationship because it removes uncertainty and replaces it with confidence. Think about the people you trust the most. Chances are your trust wasn't created in a single day. It developed gradually through repeated experiences. They showed up when they said they would. They kept their promises. They remained respectful during disagreements. They treated you with kindness, not only when life was easy, but also when circumstances became difficult. Their reliability taught you that you could depend on them. That is what consistency does. It transforms good intentions into believable character. In the early stages of any relationship, excitement can make everything feel effortless. Conversations flow naturally, compliments are frequent, and both people often present the best versions of themselves. But lasting relationships are not tested during moments of excitement. They are tested during ordinary days, stressful seasons, misunderstandings, and unexpected challenges. It is during those moments that consistent behavior becomes far more meaningful than impressive words. When someone genuinely values you, their actions don't constantly leave you guessing. You don't have to wonder whether today's kindness will disappear tomorrow. You don't have to question whether their respect depends on their mood. While every person has difficult days, emotionally mature individuals maintain the same core values regardless of changing circumstances. They remain honest, respectful, considerate, and dependable because those qualities are part of who they are, not simply how they feel at the moment. This is one reason why emotional maturity matters so much in relationships. Feelings naturally rise and fall. Every human being experiences stress, disappointment, frustration, and uncertainty. But mature people understand that temporary emotions should not determine permanent behavior. They take responsibility for their actions even when life becomes challenging. They communicate honestly instead of disappearing without explanation. They address conflicts respectfully instead of allowing resentment to grow in silence. Consistency also creates emotional safety. Human beings naturally feel secure when they know what to expect from someone. Predictability in character builds confidence. When a person's words and actions align over time, trust develops naturally because there is no constant contradiction to create confusion. You begin to believe what they say because their behavior continually confirms it. This principle applies to every aspect of life, not only relationships. Great leaders earn respect because they consistently act according to their values. Successful teams perform well because members can depend on one another. Strong friendships endure because reliability creates confidence. Character is never proven through isolated moments of excellence. It is demonstrated through repeated choices made over time. Another important lesson is learning to observe patterns rather than isolated events. Anyone can have a bad day or make an occasional mistake. Perfection is not the standard. What matters is the overall direction. When evaluating someone's intentions, don't focus on one conversation or one impressive gesture. Instead, ask yourself whether their behavior remains consistent across different situations. Do they treat others with respect? Do they follow through on commitments? Do they apologize sincerely when they make mistakes? These repeated patterns reveal far more about a person's character than occasional emotional highs. At the same time, consistency is not about becoming predictable in a boring way. It doesn't mean every conversation must sound the same or every day must follow an identical routine. Instead, it means your core values remain stable, your honesty remains steady, your kindness remains dependable, your respect remains unwavering. These qualities allow people to feel emotionally secure because they know the foundation beneath the relationship is strong. This principle also invites self-reflection. Before expecting consistency from someone else, ask yourself whether your own words and actions align. Do you keep your promises? Do you communicate honestly? Do you show the same respect during disagreements that you show during happy moments? Healthy relationships flourish when both individuals become reliable sources of trust for one another. There is another reason consistency is so valuable. Over time, excitement naturally evolves into something deeper. The butterflies of new attraction may become quieter, but they are replaced by confidence, comfort, and emotional security. Those lasting qualities are sustained not by dramatic romantic gestures, but by everyday acts of reliability. A thoughtful message, keeping a promise, listening attentively, offering encouragement, and showing kindness repeatedly may seem ordinary, yet together they create extraordinary relationships. Ultimately, genuine attraction is never measured by beautiful words alone. It is measured by repeated actions that demonstrate respect, honesty, and commitment. Anyone can promise loyalty, but loyalty is revealed through dependable behavior. Anyone can speak about kindness, but kindness becomes believable only when it is consistently practiced. Anyone can claim to care, but care becomes real when it appears again and again through everyday choices. In the end, people rarely remember every compliment they received or every impressive conversation they had. What they remember is how someone consistently made them feel. They remember the person who showed up, who kept their word, who remained respectful, who listened, who encouraged, and who could be trusted. Because true connection is never built on isolated moments of emotion. It is built on countless small actions that quietly repeat the same powerful message. You can count on me. And in relationships, there is no stronger foundation than that.